So this video is going to show you how to bring some data into NVivo and how to do some initial coding of it. So I've opened up my new project here. It's a blank project, no information in it. I've gone to my sources and my internals. Now in my internals I can organise my data into subfolders to make it easier to navigate, and to do that all I need to do is right click on my internals and then click on new folder. I'm going to call this one interviews. And then next up I'm going to add a second folder, and this one is for the photographs that I have in this project. Now to add my interviews I'm going to do it in two different ways just to demonstrate a couple of easy ways we can bring data in. The first one I'm going to do is to create a blank document by clicking on the document icon in the Create tab here. I click on Create, Document, and it will open up this dialog enabling me to name the new document. I'm going to call this one Charles as it's the interview with Charles. Clicking OK will create the blank document and open it up. Now in here I could type if I wanted to manually insert it into the program, but in this case I'm actually just going to paste because I've already copied this interview from another document. We can see here we've got the full transcript, we've got the question asked by the researcher Linda, and then we've got the answers by Charles underneath. And if you're looking at how to lay out your transcript, this is a really good example of it. We have the clear question areas of the research project, we've got the individual thing that the researcher said as part of the questions, and then we've got the respondent from the participant. Of course, if this was a focus group, we might have multiple participants, and that's fine. NVivo can cope with that as well. I'm just going to close Charles's interview for now to demonstrate another way of bringing that information in. I could right click and import it, and this case would be a document. So if I already have my transcripts in Microsoft Word or a similar program, this will enable me to pull them into NVivo without having to format them in any way. A way to do this that's slightly quicker is if you grab your folder. So in this case I've got a new folder here with my interview. This is the interview with Barbara. I'm just going to click, drag and drop it into the white area. Now this will only work while you're in your sources and internals and within this white area. As soon as I let go, I can click this OK box to confirm, and we'll see it will bring in the interview from Barbara. I can rename this just to keep it consistent with my other interview. So I've got two transcripts in here that I could start to analyse. One more demonstration over here in my photos folder that I created. I'm just going to bring in some of these photographs that I've collected as examples just to show you a different kind of data input. Once again, I highlighted them, clicked, dragged, dropped into the white area, click OK, and you see because I brought two files in this time, NVivo will automatically name them and bring them in here. So I have my internals folder that's empty. Within that there's two subfolders, one for interviews and one for photos. So how do we start to analyse our data? I'm going to head into my interviews and open up Charles's transcript as an example of this. So if I click to edit here, it would let me make any textual amendments if I needed to in the transcript. So first up, I'm going to start look at some thematic coding. Now, the theory behind how you do this is quite complex, and a lot of the time it links to your discipline, your method, your methodology, ontology, epistemology. It gets quite complicated, and this video isn't here to tackle that. What I'm going to look at is how we can apply this in practice. So here we go. I've got some text from my participants here, and I can see here Charles is talking about salt water, and I'm going to add salt water as a theme. So I first of all highlight the information that I want to fall into this theme. I'm going to right click on it here, go to code selection, and because I've not created any themes or any nodes of any kind, I'm going to create this at a new node by clicking this button. This enables me to give it a new name, so in this case salt water, and then I can just click enter or OK. So even though we can't see it right now, this piece of text here is assigned to the salt water category. If I head into my nodes, we can see the saltwater theme is available under nodes, and if I double click on this it will open up this theme and I can look within it to see the text, and there's that sentence that I highlighted. When I'm actually coding, it can be easier if you go into your View tab here, click on coding stripes and turn them on for all nodes coding. And what you'll see as you're going through and coding your transcript, your existing and new nodes will appear down the side here, and you can click on them to see which parts are highlighted under that particular theme. So I would then continue to go through the transcript and I'd continue to apply themes. So this time we have Charles talking about his friends. I'm going to create that as a new theme here. I'm going to call that Friends. And once again I can click on that node and see which bits are highlighted. Now, one of the real strengths of NVivo is that it enables us to stack these codes up in a way that we wouldn't be able to with traditional highlighter pens or paper-based methods of research. So just as an example, I'm going to code this entire paragraph here under a new theme. I'm just going to call it Theme A. And what you'll see here is within NVivo they have stacked the bars. Theme A is this whole paragraph here, or I can click on Saltwater and Friends, and you can see how they're stacking up differently. So this is a very powerful way to build up quite a complicated network of themes. So I've just flipped back to environmental change down east to once again demonstrate this in practice. And what we can see here, when you have a very complicated transcript with loads of themes, it really does help you highlight a level of detail in a transcript that you just simply couldn't do with paper methods. And that's why it's actually far more powerful when we are using NVivo to stack this coding up. Now, one thing that you will find as you go on, you might end up with quite a complicated range of codes, and how we navigate them is really important as part of the coding process. Now, to demonstrate how we can actually very rapidly code a transcript, I've opened up a blank transcript here, and it's the interview between Henry and Thomas. And what I can do, while I'm still within this open source, I can actually navigate to my nodes, and you'll see they're visible at the top here. Now, if I go to the view mode here, it will give me the option to change where detailed view appears. Now, this section of the window here is detailed view, and if I click here I can move it from the bottom to the right instead. And what this enables me to do is actually have all of my themes down the left hand side and my transcript to the right. So this time I can highlight a piece of text and drag and drop it over into a theme. Now, this is a very rapid way of coding, and I can very quickly apply blocks of text to my existing code structure. The trick really is not to get overwhelmed with environmental change down east. If you are looking at the demo project, there's an awful lot of data in there, and sometimes it can make NVivo look very complicated. If I return back to my demo project here, you can see I've got a few themes, and actually it's very easy to manage it when it's this small scale. You will find your project will grow over time and will become something that is of substantial size, but it always starts quite small. So as we've seen in this video, we can very easily get some information in here. I've used interviews as an example. I could have very easily have done this with any form of literature, particularly PDF files, journal articles, that kind of thing. Very good for literature reviews. Apply some themes, and then we can browse them both through this transcript view here by turning on our view coding stripes, and we can also view them by going to our actual nodes here, clicking on them, and it will open up the references to it. When you're in your nodes, you'll see it will give you some information such as when the node was created, when it was last modified, and importantly how many sources and how many references for that particular theme. So a source is how many individual sources did it load up in. So if I had 5 interviews and a theme appeared in all 5, it would say 5 sources. References is how many times that individual theme came up, and so that will be across all sources. So it could, for example, have come up in 5 sources but 30 times across them. So it gets a feel for the spread of how many situations that theme has appeared in and how many times it's cropped up. So the last thing that I want to show you in this video is how we could print one of these transcripts. So I've returned to environmental change down east to demonstrate this, and I'm just going to open up the interview with Susan. So here we've got the transcript loading on the right. Just move this across just to make it a little bit clearer. Now we'll see there's no coding stripes turned on here. So first of all, it's really important for us to head into View and turn those coding stripes on. And I'm just going to turn them on for all nodes just so you can see what this looks like. Now that I've done this, I can go into File and I can go into Print. And instead of actually printing this, I'm just going to go to Print Preview so you can see what this looks like. Now in Print Preview, it will give you a really good look at what it would look like on paper. And the main option that you want to concentrate on here is, do you want to print those on the same page or on an adjacent page? So I'm going to print these on the same page, which means it will turn the A4 transcript into a landscape sheet, and it will have both the coding stripes and the transcript on the same page. If I click OK, it's going to load up my print preview, and any second now, just wait for it to load, you'll see what that will look like. I've got my A4 sheet of paper here, my transcript on the left, and then to the right I have all of the coding stripes. This will make a really good appendix to a thesis, and it's a very good way to discuss with your supervisor the technicalities and the detail of your coding in process.